On the note of a revert, would you say any specific advice to someone who did just revert? Because I also have noticed usually reverts give better advice to reverts. Foreign Muslims don't always understand because it is too
Mhm.
much if you throw everything at them at once.
Mhm. Uh, one of the many things that comes to mind is that you're a revert, you became a Muslim, and you should understand that it is a responsibility, and it's also one second. It is a responsibility, but it is also, uh, you have time, right? Uh, you can take your time, you can learn things slowly. But what's very, very important is that if something is haram and it doesn't make sense, or if something is halal and it doesn't make sense, just because it doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean that it's wrong, right? Or just because something is haram and you do this thing, it doesn't mean it should be minimized. It doesn't mean you should make excuses for it. If you do this sin and someone sees you doing it, don't say, "Well, actually, because it's because of this, it's because of that." Say, "I know I'm doing something wrong, but I need some time." Rather than going into this whole thing of maybe justifications and all that. Another thing I will say is try to make good Muslim friends. It's very, very important because you've probably heard this phrase: "You are the average of the people you hang out with," right? And this is also a thing in Islam, right? Good company is good for you, bad company is bad for you. So if you are a reaver and you've got some bad friends, uh, try to kind of distance yourself and get closer with good friends you may have. Try to find more Muslim friends, like this online communities. So many online communities full of great Muslims. You could always go to your mosque and try to make friends with some people. There's always something you can do for making friends, inshallah. And now one third thing. Let me just think of something. Mm, Knowledge is very, very important. So try your hardest um, to seek knowledge from actual scholars and books and stuff like that. Maybe lectures, or begin with informational YouTube videos if you can. Try to get yourself a solid base of iman, faith, and of knowledge, so that if some doubt comes up, Islam is true. Even if you don't know the answer to this doubt, you know that there is an answer out there, right? Um, and yeah, that's basically it, inshallah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So here's the question that's unanswered. That,
Hmm.
and I think why it's unanswered is because it's not a black and white question. It's when does the take your time statement go away, right? We hear that with reverts. Take your time, take your time.
Hmm.
But when does that stop existing? When is it not take your time? It's okay, not in a judgmental way, not in a hard way, but let's make this happen, right?
Hmm.
When, and maybe not as
Hmm.
advising reverts, but reflect back on your journey as a revert, ourselves. This can be someone who's coming to Islam or someone who's just reverted. When should they, like, okay, let's press down on the gas a little bit more here?
Hmm. Uh, I would say, like with many questions, it depends, right? Because it depends on where this person starts, right? If he's already someone who's consistent with a lot of good habits, he's going gym, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's locked in, and he's not smoking, drinking, then he's on a much higher level already than someone who joins Islam and he's a recovering alcoholic and he's smoking, doing this and that, talking to girls, um, and all that. So it does depend. Like if you are in a worse situation, try to get yourself out of it, of course, as quickly as you can. And it also does depend on what kind of thing we're asking people to do. Like, there's a big difference between asking someone to start praying and asking someone to stop listening to music, for example. The prayer is much more important, right? So reverts need to be taught that there are priorities. There are things you should prioritize before other things, right? Um, so when someone should start praying, I think after day one of the Shahada, people should at least start looking at, how do I pray? Maybe week 1 or week 2, they should be trying to learn it and very quickly be able to pray, I would say. Um, yeah, and I think Ramadan, the first Ramadan that comes up, maybe the second, should be when you actually do lock in and try your best to fast, right? Um, I mean, Hajj is whenever you can, right? Uh, Zakat, see, I've never paid zakat because I don't make enough money. um, but you should start with fard things that are compulsory, things that everyone has to do, and try to cut out things that you're not supposed to do. But as a general thing, I would say if you are a revert and you've been a revert for 2 years, right? If you're not praying and you're still doing things that are easy, like you're still listening to music and you're still maybe eating haram things or doing like drinking, doing these big major sins, zina, then you should really look at yourself and think, man, I've been a revert for 2 years. What is this? Or why am I doing this? Um, but with everyone, take your time, but be as quick as possible, right? It sounds a bit contradictory, but I hope it makes sense. Like understand that you should be patient with yourself, but also try not to be too slow.
Mm. Yeah, that's the balance. That's the balance. Could you shed some
Mm-hmm.
light on the people out there who are struggling with their prayer? Two people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do two people. Number one is the person they know how to pray. They just they want to, but they're not doing it. They're not there.
Mm-hmm.
The second person is the person who's just overwhelmed with learning how to pray. What would you say to
Mm-hmm.
both those people?
Can I promote Just Pray?
I mean, it can be anything that helps you with prayers. Like I like Ali Dawah has
Mm-hmm.
one that I think is really
Mm-hmm. Okay.
good. Instead of
Well.
just the app, like what does it do? What's a system that actually helps them?
Mm-hmm. So the first thing I'll talk about is if you don't know how to pray, um, really it's not actually as big as it may seem. Take it step by step. Like firstly, learn how to do the movements, right? So you do this, and then you go into ruku and the sujood. Learn the movements. Slowly learn how to say the things in Arabic, and eventually you'll know how to pray one prayer, right? If you think 5 prayers a day is very difficult, um, try to do as many as you can. Maybe one, maybe before bed for Isha, and then when you wake up for Fajr, maybe one in the afternoon for Dhuhr, whatever. Try your best. Try to go to the mosque often so you actually get people around you who can support you and help you and give you advice. And yeah, so in general, people who know how to pray now, but they don't know how to start praying 5 times a day, um, the first thing you should start with is knowing the importance of prayer, right? Uh, because there's immense benefit to it, right? Whenever you're praying, your sins are being forgiven. You're being rewarded with a lot of reward, especially compared to most people. A lot of people struggle with prayer nowadays, right? But it's not good to struggle with. Like the bare minimum is to be praying 5 times a day, right? So, firstly, learn the importance of prayer and the virtue to prayer, and also the effects of not praying, right? Of which there's a lot of good to praying and a lot of bad to not praying. um, Try to schedule your day a bit, like sleep earlier and wake up earlier so you can actually pray Fajr. Try to set aside some time wherever you can to be able to pray Maghrib, right? Like you'll probably be home at Maghrib, right? If you're at school, try to see if you can arrange something with your teacher to get like a 10-minute break to pray. You know, there's a lot of things you can do to make it easier for yourself, but that's the main step. Getting a system in your life and a schedule in your life where when it's time to pray, you actually have a place to pray. Because I've seen with myself, and I'm sure this is true with a lot of people, with most people, the struggle with praying isn't the prayer itself, it's being in the environment to pray, right? Like when you're at
Mm.
work, um, if you don't have a prayer room or if you don't have a place where you're allowed to pray, if you have to sneak off to pray, then it's much harder, like a much harder barrier to entry, right? But if you arrange it with your teacher first or with your employer first, that I'm going to be praying, then it is much easier for you, inshallah.
That's a really good
Oh,
point.
and
I actually have, yeah, go ahead.
one thing I will also say is prayer reminders. Prayer reminders and prayer tracking could help you a lot. Like, I'm sure you've heard of habit tracking, so people track their sleep and gym. So why not track your prayers as well, right? You can do it on a piece of paper, just track your prayers and you can see how you're doing day to day, right? Reminders as well, so you could get any app, Muslim Pro, Just Pray, this or that, apps that give you the prayer times, right? Some apps even give you a notification before the prayer and after the prayer, like Just Pray or like these other. There's a lot of different prayer apps. So that's one thing I would recommend for you to actually have the awareness that it's time to pray soon, and this is a journey that I'm going through. That every single day I'm trying to improve 1%.
Yeah. Yeah. What gets tracked gets improved. When you're paying attention to something, you will
Yeah.
do better at that thing. If you don't track your finances, you'll probably spend more money than you should.